You're not traveling because you have a lot of debt. Let's talk about it. I got debt too. What I got to do with it?
If you're in debt, you can't go on any holidays. You have to restrict yourself. You're not allowed any treats. And that is far from the truth.
First and foremost, those of you who don't have debt need to stop looking at people who do have debt as less than. You are in a place of privilege that you were able to go through your college education and not require additional funds.
Ooh, another flag on the play. Yo, what's up? It's JPM. Jordan Paul Morgan. Today in this video, we're going to be exploring the psychology of people who travel while they're in debt. We're going to learn what their thought process is and why they decide to make these decisions. We're also going to learn if whether or not these decisions are reasonable or regrettable. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, leave a comment down below about your experiences of traveling while in debt. How did it make you feel? Did you enjoy the trip? Was the trip non-enjoyable? Whatever your feelings were about that situation, leave them in the comment section below. But without any further ado, let's get into it.
You're not traveling because you have a lot of debt. Let's talk about it. I got debt too. What I got to do with it? And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be toxic, but not traveling because you have debt. What is not traveling changing about your debt?
Okay, plain and simple. If you're not traveling, you're not increasing your debt. If you're traveling, you're accruing more debt. So that's what not traveling is doing for your debt. It's not increasing the debt that you already have and burdening you when you come back from your travels. Also, when you're not traveling, you don't have to compensate for the finances and the resources that you're losing out on via traveling. So there's that. Let's let her continue.
Because if it's the money thing, and I did another video on this where I talked about, like the money piece of it. Even if travel may not be something you feel like you can do right this second, I'm sure there's a way that you can plan to do something in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, even planning something small. Like people, like travel doesn't always have to mean, you going to, Paris or whatever. Like travel, you can start small, but there's always something that you can do, and you can plan it around your debt. You don't have to stop, you don't have to stop working towards paying down your debt. But if travel is a priority for you, then you will make it work. That is the story I'm sticking to, because all the things y'all telling me, I already done told myself, and now I done shifted my mindset, and so can you.
Before I go any further into explaining why what she's saying is a bad idea, I do want to commend her for the idea of planning ahead of time, which is very important when you're deciding to travel. Now, the thing about it is this: if you're in debt, what you should do is see traveling as a reward for having accomplished something, like hitting a milestone in your debt, right? What you shouldn't do is plan your travels around your debt. What you should do is plan to clear that debt. How about you plan to travel to get some more resources to clear up that debt? That should be your number one priority. Why? Because when you're out of debt, whatever consumer debt, student loan debt, maybe you have some auto financing, but that could be a little bit different. But let's just stick to the main ones: student loan debt and consumer debt. Traveling increases these debts, right? Traveling isn't cheap. Even if you're traveling somewhere close, it's not cheap, because you're working with a budget, and then you're also working with a time clock with your debt, meaning the interest that's accruing on the debt that you already have. So she says she's changed her mindset, and you should too. That's not a mindset that'll get you out of debt. Her mindset is one that would keep you in debt. And of course, I don't want to personalize this and bring this to her. So let's just focus on the mindset and not her specifically, right? Because I don't know her and I have nothing against her. That mindset is what keeps people in debt. And you're forever in a cycle, a loop of paying down debt and then adding debt and then paying down debt and then adding debt. What we want to do is get out of debt, be debt free. So that way you can do what? enjoy your travels. So we'll leave it at that, and we're going to go ahead and get into the next video.
If you're in debt, you can't go on any holidays. You have to restrict yourself. You're not allowed any treats. And that is far from the truth. We had budgeted for going away for the past 2 weeks. And also, the debt is my debt. It's not the joint account's debt. It's not my partner's debt. I have actually paid off over £700 this month alone on my debt.
Okay, here's where I throw a flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. It's not about restricting yourself. It's about developing financial discipline. Now let's take these points for example. You say that it's not debt coming from the joint account and it's not coming from your partner's account. Then I would have to ask, where's the money coming from if you're going on vacation? Because your partner, and I would assume it's your husband, he has to save up money in order to go on a vacation, and then the money will be coming out of the joint account to go on vacation. The money is coming from somewhere. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. So that's why what she's saying is flawed. I'm not attacking the person, just the information that's being delivered. She didn't tell us exactly where the money was coming from. If you save the money up, that means it's coming out of another expense. And then also, let's tackle this point. 700 pounds is not a lot of money. I'm here in the United States of America. That's something close to the equivalent of $700. You pay down 700 pounds towards your debt. That's not a lot of money. It's not a significant amount of income to really make a dent, because you now have to factor in the fact that you're going to be spending a couple of thousands of dollars going on vacation. Let's be adults about this situation. Again, not trying to be the fun police, not trying to critique her per se, just the information. I don't know her, but if we're being adults, $700 is not a lot of money. You really didn't make that much of a significant dent into your debt, and you're going to be spending thousands of dollars just in going on vacation. Let's let her continue.
I completely understand it's hard for people to comprehend my situation when they're not in debt at all. Like, do you even have a car on finance? If you don't, you probably don't understand it even more. I work a full-time job with 2 kids on my own at home all week. So if I want to enjoy myself for a few weeks, I'm going to.
Ooh, another flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Girl, I know you did not come out here and make that excuse. I know you did not come out here and say that people that don't have debt don't understand. I know you did not come out here and make that excuse to justify why you're doing what you're doing. It ain't gonna work. Remember, I told you we were going to dig into the psychology of why people travel while they're in debt. For whatever reason, they make the assumption and belief that people who don't have debt don't understand. This is the furthest thing from the truth. People who don't have debt probably had debt and learned to never get back into debt. Therefore, they live debt-free lives. Instead of accumulating more debt, they decided to stay out of debt. Don't say they don't understand, because that's actually insensitive. However, we're going to leave that at that, and we're going to check out the next video.
I recently shared that I have $31,000 of student loan debt and that I'm not super worried about it. And a lot of you lost it over this fact. You didn't like that I'm saving for an emergency fund and that I'm saving for travel. You don't like that I'm investing. You think all my money needs to go towards my debt. And I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. My personal finances are just that. My personal finances. They are my decisions to make. It's my money to do with how I please. My average student loan.
So, I'm going to handle this very delicately, very gently, and as sweet as possible. as sweet as possible. Okay, so there's a caveat to your personal finances, right? And when I say you, let's take this away from her. I don't know her. I'm not interested in attacking her. This is just for the critique of the video. Personal finances have a overall impact on the bigger financial picture. Let me explain. One person's personal finances impact how they engage with people overall. For example, let's say you have student loan debt. Let's say a political candidate comes out and promises to wipe away your student loan debt. Now you're voting for that political candidate and they have no actual power to wipe away your student loan debt. So you voted that person in at an inexorbitant rate, and now they're creating policies that are raising the prices of gas, raising the prices of eggs, and raising the prices of the cost of living overall, and we have higher taxes. Does that sound familiar? Let's go even further. Your personal finances, when you push them off to the side and you don't make them a priority, or you don't decide to tackle them as quickly as possible, add to the national debt crisis. You ever heard of it? It's that thing that's looming over our country's head. A bunch of people's debt accumulated into one nation's debt number, which continues to increase. And it's just increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing. So what happens? Possible economic collapse? A second Great Depression of economic proportions? Who knows? Will this debt bubble burst? Possibly. But before I continue, let's let her finish.
Interest rate is 3.9%. My high yield savings account is returning 4.5%. So you do the math. Additionally, I am going to save for travel because I live in Minnesota and my mental health requires me to go on one beach vacation a year to keep my sanity. So mind your business.
Okay. Now we have the mental health crutch. I'm not going to tackle that too much. But just know I'm throwing a flag on the play, especially living here in a first world nation where you have the access and ability to travel. You're not suffering, or let's just say this, I don't want to personalize this. We're not suffering as much as people who don't live in nations where they have the thought process that, I can travel, so I'm not going to go too far into that, but we're going to throw a flag on a play with the whole mental health crutch, because if it was really a mental health crisis, you probably would be unable to function. So that's a crutch, and not only is it a crutch, it's more of an excuse. So it's an excuse to justify why you're doing what you're doing. So flag on the play, flag on the play. Let's let her continue. Flag on the play.
I also didn't need to go in and explain any of that because first and foremost, those of you who don't have debt need to stop looking at people who do have debt as less than. You are in a place of privilege that you were able to go through your college education and not require additional funds. My family and I personally did not have $125,000 to fund my college education, hence my $31,000 of student loan debt. So get off your high horse, get immersed in reality a little bit here, and quit being mean. Thank you.
Oh, na 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 na. No, 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 no. See, we can't do that, mama. No, we can't do that, mama. See, look, we can't say that people who don't have debt are coming from a place of privilege. That's not true. The average American was not born rich. The average American was not born affluent. To be able to even go to an institution of higher learning is a privilege in and of its own. I understand you and your family didn't have the resources for you to go to an institution of higher learning without you having to acquire a loan, debt with interest. We have to be considerate of the people who did not have the resources to go to college, but they made a decision to work their way through college. They didn't come from affluent families. They didn't have any privilege. They are just hard-working Americans. When we make these statements, we're discrediting the people that put in the work, people who worked 2-3 jobs and still went to school. That's not fair. We can't lump people who don't have student loan debt all into one category. It's a very small percentage of people who have parents who were able to finance their education. Flag on the play. You see, I told you we were going to dig into the psychology of why people are doing what they're doing. Right? We're going to dig into the psychology of why people are doing what they're doing. They're looking for reasons to justify their actions. It has nothing to do with being on a high horse. It has a lot to do with the decisions that you made yesterday to how they got you here today and where you're going to be tomorrow. Hopefully, I strung that along for you guys pretty well. Let me do it one more time. The decisions that you made yesterday put you in the positions that you're in today, and the decisions you make today will put you into position where you're going to be tomorrow. So people who decided to work their way through college should not be penalized for having done so, and they should not be seen as privileged individuals. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. No, it's not being mean. It's just being honest. It's just being an adult. You're making an excuse. And there's, as you guys can see, a lot of excuse making to justify why people say they need to travel. Traveling is not a need. It's a privilege. You see how we flip that? However, you need to pay off your debt. Why? That was an obligation that you signed up for and no one else. You decided to go to school. You decided to take out that loan. You told the institution that you took those resources from that you would pay back that debt. Traveling is a privilege. So in and of itself, you're privileged to even think that you should travel, because people in other countries that are not as financially, stable, we'll see how long that lasts, as financially stable as the United States and some other Western countries, they don't even have the ability to even think these types of things. So yeah, flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. I'm not here to criticize her. I'm here to criticize the thought process that goes along with this, because it's not just her. There's thousands of individuals in the same position, maybe hundreds of thousands. I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands, close to the millions, of people in the same position that are thinking like this, and it's eroding our economic and financial stability as a nation. So I'm going to leave it at that. All right. As you guys can see, people love to travel, right? People love to travel, and they will make whatever excuse they need to make if they have the ability and access to travel to justify their reasonings for doing so, even if it means accruing more debt. Even if it means accruing more debt. So I want to give you guys a little food for thought. These images that you see on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're at, just know a lot of these images are manufactured via debt. A lot of these images are being curated for you via credit. A lot of these people are living facades, and you should not trust what you see on social media. Just a little food for thought. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Also, leave a comment down below and share your experiences with traveling while in debt, And also, share an experience that you had when you were traveling, when you weren't in debt. What was the difference and how did you feel in both situations? Look, I'm JPM, Jordan Paul Morgan, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.